The 14th of November 2020, almost 4:30 p.m. Agnieszka Pata, Magdalena Rojek. Politically, in terms of clarification and in terms of an update, ontology. First of all, humankind are spiritual beings, genetically human. God created all life and the universe, which might mean a huge number of universes we are not aware of, apart from our personal universes, our personal worlds, actually. The God's creation is sacred. In terms of humankind, God created a man and a woman. All people are unique individuals by nature. As spiritual beings, we have our human religions. There are more than one, because we differ in our spiritual needs. There are different paths we can travel to arrive, to achieve our spiritual potential. Still, all sacred religions come from God, including the ancient ones. As human beings, we have been endowed with the free will by God. Our talents may have been acquired in previous lifetimes, but originally they come from God, and they become an obligation. Essentially, there are no superior or inferior races, but we ought to be race aware, because we do differ. The pure race is like a species in one respect. It can go into extinction if not preserved. However, interracial marriages are natural, provided the consent is mutual. A natural human being is moral by nature. If one is not, a perversion must have happened. The current condition of humankind is atrocious. The current political speak continues the French Revolution thinking of the right and the left wing, which is Eurocentric and does not meet the current world needs. Religion. I used to believe in the secular state before I became aware of its atrocities, which are a logical consequence of the secular invalidation of the spiritual life. Contrary to my expectations at the time, the tolerance claimed did not guarantee the very tolerance towards people of faith, to whom I belong. I am a Roman Catholic by baptism, but my spiritual life is unique and idiosyncratic. My purpose is to achieve a peaceful life with people of different religions without violations of the respective traditions. Each person can choose where God appeals most to him or her. However, the fundamental moral values ought to be protected by the state. Spiritual rights come before the human rights. In highly explosive issues, for instance abortion, I am not ready to take the decisive stand. But I am ready to state in full confidence that protection of life involves the protection of the mother and the protection of the child. If one state is attacked by a deadly enemy, one has the right to kill the enemy before the enemy kills one, unless one chooses otherwise in the hope that can be frustrated, knowing it can be frustrated by own death. The situation of rape is a violation of life, and no one has the right to superimpose the continuation of the trauma in the person of the child. All religious orders are free to teach, but they are not free to intimidate or kill the woman not meeting their moral expectations. I am against all methods of chemical anticonception. Sexual abstinence is a sign of human control over one's life. I consider homosexuality a perversion, and the same concerns the sexual practices common nowadays, like oral or anal sex. Equality. We are not equal, and it is not our financial status that makes one inferior and others superior. However, fundamentally, we ought to have equal rights. There are qualifications that need review, all diligence in each individual case. For instance, there is a difference between stealing a loaf of bread because one is hungry, stealing a car for the fun of it, and stealing a life for whatever reasons, the reasons being of minor, if any, importance. Statehood. I believe in identities that inhabit what we call states today, and the identities are of the spiritual nature, which is why states must be preserved for the identities to live. With no innate hostility to other cultures, we must protect our own and develop it, because the very variety of cultures makes our human life on earth rich and gives us the freedom to find our own, should we be born in one that does not appeal as natural for us. The immigrants faithful to their new homelands ought not to be treated as inferior to the people born in the country. States ought not to superimpose their faith, but cannot allow any violation of it by the new arrivals. Help ought to be provided so that the newcomers could become rightful citizens. Hospitality is praiseworthy. Nonetheless, the state has to consider security issues as well. Citizenship. No state has any right to make claims on the lives of its citizens. We are born free, and our freedom ends only there, where another's freedom begins. All criminality against an individual ought to be handled by the state. The state is for us, and not the other way around. There is no place for a gang mentality in a civilized society. As citizens, we have the duty to contribute to the well-being of our homeland. However, it is us that choose the form. Doing a great job as our standard work employment is enough. More than that can come from our natural talents. World matters are not none of our business. As citizens, we have every right to make attempts at correcting what is wrong in the countries other than our own, because the life there has an impact on our life here, provided the actions we take are legal and do not invade other people's freedoms. For instance, we can teach our religions, but we cannot attempt conversion by force or advanced manipulation. Any manipulation of the citizen is illegal. The natural relation between the state and the citizen is that of home, where the citizen feels safe and comfortable. The citizen has any right to criticize anyone at any time, but we have no right to spread slanders and libels or break into people's private lives. Violence and torture are illegal. Any violation of ownership, therein the intellectual or artistic rights, is illegal. Singing someone's song with no benefit is not illegal. The lexicon, that is the range of vocabulary in a particular language, is there for us to use as we choose. No one has the right to superimpose one's or another's presence on another. It is qualified as torture, and it constitutes a spiritual rape. One's personal life and achievements are inviolable. They belong solely to the person. No one has the right to deprive the person of the identity or mess it up in any way.